And I kind of wanted to make things that were like the opposite of that. To make people be like, oh yeah, I should question my sources. I should question the context of the things that I read. I should question what I'm being told. And kind of be like the voice of reason in the back of everyone's mind. So that's kind of what I've shifted into doing since becoming a dad. It's more of I'm not just doodling and trying to make money and things like that. I'm trying to do something good with with the skills that I have.
That's my friend Tanner West. He's an illustrator and graphic designer from Cookeville, Tennessee.
I'll be honest, that also kind of radicalized me, I think, working in that hotel. Is because you see a lot of the people that society has forgotten about. A lot of people would come in from the mission, that had been turned away, and they needed somewhere warm to stay during the night. And I really struggled with, the hotel policy is, if someone comes in and they're not a guest, you turn them away. But if someone's freezing, how do you tell them they can't go somewhere? If someone hasn't had anything to drink all day, how do you tell them they can't have a cup of coffee?
Tanner is the artist behind Paler East, his personal brand of posters, stickers, buttons, and other merchandise, all designed by him. Tanner and I have been setting up shop and vending at festivals together since 2023. My name is Molly Perry, and I'm a graphic designer at Tennessee Tech University. I know lots of talented, funny, creative people, and on this podcast, we're going to be meeting a lot of them. Without further ado, this is episode 3 of Molly Made Friends. Thank you for joining me. Well, nice to meet you, Tanner.
Nice to meet you. Wow, I'm glad we caught that live.
I know.
What a good moment to have on.
And you just walked through the door.
It's crazy how I just happened to be in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean,
breaking in as you were recording this podcast.
And I just got that second microphone.
Yeah, it's really, the stars aligned for us to be here today.
Yeah, so what was your name again?
My name is Tanner.
Tanner
West. Tanner West.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen you before.
Yeah.
We've actually spent considerable time together.
Our paths have crossed many times.
Okay. I think we met doing poster shows.
My first memory of you is the poster shows. We didn't interact much at first, though.
No.
We were there, but there were also a lot of people there, so we weren't having a lot of one-on-one time. What's your first memory of our interactions?
I remember...
Because I wonder if it's the same one that I have.
I remember you and Carrie.
Yeah.
I think that I met you
there.
both at the same time.
I forget. It wasn't the first poster show. It was either the second or the third. And these are the poster shows at Hicks Farms.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Hicks Farm. That was a great place.
Yeah. But from there, because, I mean, it was basically just like two friend groups that kind of melded together.
Yeah, it really was.
But I think that we like a lot of the same things.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we bonded over time. And now we are vending partners.
Yeah, we're business partners. We're associates.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We're in the process of getting like a split like banner maybe potentially for our booth. So that'll be cool.
I haven't told you this, but my side's actually already done.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been a busy little beaver these past few weeks. So
what color did you go with?
So mine is actually going to be several colors. It worked out perfectly because I'm an illustrator for those that don't know, and a lot of my work, it sticks to the same color palette, and it's very I love nostalgia and retro things, vintage things. So I made like the old like color bar screen on a TV when you would lose a signal or something like that. So I recreated that, but with my color palette using those colors. So it's kind of gives it that retro vibe, and then my logo is just imposed on top of it.
And then my side will probably just be black.
But I like that because you told me that, and it's perfect because on one side you just have that dark black color, and then on the opposite side you have the opposite of that.
Yeah.
All these bold, colorful things, and so I think that our booth is going to look really great with those two.
Very complimentary.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of our work is very complimentary.
Yeah,
and I think that's why because we've had a lot of success vending at these things together.
Yes.
And I think that's part of it is because all of our things combined are really, it's a great package.
And we're both graphic designers.
Yeah.
Is that what you would describe yourself as?
I'm drifting more to the term illustrator these days. Because I feel like graphic designer is more of it feels a little bit corporate to me.
Yeah.
It feels more like, you're contracted to do things, which is the case for you. Because you do more
graphic
of that
design is the contemporary name for what used to be called commercial art.
There you go.
So,
see.
It's true. It's very corporate.
And the reason I'm not a graphic designer is because I don't say smart things like that.
No.
I just draw.
You say lots of smart things.
I just draw colorful, pretty things. And all these concepts and definitions and history. Nah. And I'm like, I like pink. I'm going to put pink here. I like colors. So yeah, I'm drifting more towards Illustrator because I don't really do commissions anymore. I think that part of my life is over. I don't think I've got it in me anymore.
I'll be honest with you. I actually made a deal with myself at the start of this year.
Like a resolution?
Yes. And my New Year's resolution was to not do a single commission that I did not want to do.
Nice.
And I have had to teach myself to say no.
Yeah, and that's hard.
Yes. And it's also like I wasn't being fair to the people that I'm working for. And, most of the time, these are my friends.
Yeah.
And I think that I was taking advantage of the leniency that they were giving me to take 5 million years on a project that I really wasn't passionate about.
And it's weird having that dynamic with people you care about because you want to do a good job. You don't want to disappoint them, but there is that kind of already familiar relationship there where things are a little bit more lax. It's not like you're working for someone. And that makes it really hard when you don't want to work on the project because then it kind of falls by the wayside. I'm working on, I said I don't want to do commissions anymore, but I'm actually in the middle of a commission right now. And it's not like a horror story or anything like that. It's for my sister-in-law. She wanted a logo design for her business.
That's cool.
And, I don't mind it, especially with family, because I like having these skills and helping family out because it's nice for your skills to be needed and stuff like that. But she wanted a logo, and it's like a hand-drawn vintage, like pharmacy style logo.
That's cool.
Which it's cool and it's fun, but the hard part with things like that is that's not really what I do.
Yeah.
When I get commissions, it's not somebody that's like, I want this in your style. They have a vision and they just want someone to execute it because they don't know how. And that's great. It's nice to, be able to figure those things out. But also sometimes it's just like, I've never done this before and they want something good. So I'm having to learn something and not only replicate it, but make it original, because I have to replicate this style, but still make it my own despite having never done this before.
My definition of having made it is when people come to you because they have you in mind specifically to work on their project.
Yeah.
And that happened to me with Anna at Soulcraft, working on Easy Tiger coffee recently. So that's been really cool.
That's
and
fun.
She approached me for the project because she told me I love your work. I like your style. And she just fully trusted me to help her. And it was so creatively fulfilling. And it reminded me that, okay, yeah, I can get down in the dumps about being a designer sometimes, but it's projects like that remind me that, this is why I love it.
Yeah, and that if every commission was like that, it wouldn't be so bad.
Instead of, can you draw me and my husband and our dog?
Which, part of me likes the challenge though, and that's this one I've been working on. I like the vibe of that old timey illustration. So it has been fun learning about that kind of thing and doing it. But yeah, it is weird venturing so far out of your comfort zone to do something you don't normally do.
Yeah,
because like you said, having someone come to you and want your style specifically has got to feel so good.
Yeah. But speaking of getting out of your comfort zone, I remember whenever we first got together and started vending, I think that we were scared babes in the woods.
Oh my gosh.
And we had no idea to start.
And I never have any idea what I'm doing. And that's true for everybody. I think no one ever has any idea what they're doing. You just wing it, and eventually you get comfortable doing what you're doing. But the first big event I did outside of those first poster shows was the Art Love event that you had, that first one. And I think I had maybe like 8 different stickers, and I had 6 posters. And it was all.
But your table looked really good.
It was. Looking back, I'm like, oh, I can't believe. Like, how did I not see how horrible all of that looked? Because I don't sell any of those original designs anymore. But that was the first time I ever actually put myself out there and sold my work in such a big way. And I feel like since then, we have really kind of grown as not only artists, but business people.
You want to know what's crazy? Okay, to put that in perspective.
Yeah.
You working at the first Art Love.
Yeah.
That was a year and a month ago.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
That was a year and a month ago.
That was 2023?
That was last year in February. Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. Look at how far we've come in a year.
Like the punk rock flea markets and everything, that was only 2023?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
No.
Oh my gosh. If you had asked me, how long have you guys been doing this? I would have said like 3 years. I would have. I can't even believe that.
Sometimes it does feel like the space in between events, which for us there's only like 3.
Yeah.
It does feel like an eternity.
A long time. And that's something that I'm trying to be better about this year, but it's really hard. I want to do more events. But as you know, it's so hard with back-to-back events with ordering inventory. Mm-hmm. Just the week leading up to these events is exhausting because you're printing, you're ordering things online, you're putting things together that you ordered on Amazon last minute. It's so
whether
hard.
You need it or not.
Oh gosh, yeah. And we end up barely breaking even at the end of these things because we've just gone all out.
Well, I think honestly, this year I think it'll be better because, the first getting into vending, you've got to be ready.
Yeah. Like
financially, you are not going to be.
You can't just show up.
You're not going to be in the green at the first event. The first event is for paying for all of your supplies, paying for your tables, paying for your tent, your tablecloths, whatever. And then, your first run of stickers and prints, whatever that you're selling. And then honestly, I was catching up another event or so later, but then you get new inventory, you come up with new designs, and then suddenly, maybe we could get this acrylic sticker stand. And now, we got a fancy light bulb that hangs in the middle of our tent. Yeah. And now we're preparing for bad weather because we bought a bunch of plastic tent sides, which was $100-something. Gosh.
And I had to get a cart to carry all of our things.
Which thank God you did that.
I can't do it anymore. I can't just carry our tent to the final destination. It's such, we get halfway there and I just want to die.
I'll be honest, I felt like such a dud at the last punk rock flea market we did in Knoxville in September. I was such a wuss on you. Cause
what?
I felt I felt like by the end of that event, which it rained on us all day. Yeah. And that was the longest walk that we had, I think, from the car to unloading.
Which, shout out to my Aunt Alice and my cousin Jack for helping us.
They have come to every single one.
Every single punk rock show, I think.
Because they're sweethearts and they're really cool.
They are the best. I love them so much.
And they stay and help us pack up, and it's so nice.
Yeah, they hang out, they talk with us, they keep us company, and they usually get there once it's kind of died down for the day, so it's nice having that company. Mm-hmm. And they always help us unload or not unload, but load everything up. And that means so much to me, because that is the hardest part of the day, I think.
Oh my God.
Is carrying everything to the car, and packing everything up.
Driving an hour and 40 minutes back home.
That's your burden to carry, because you're usually the one driving.
I have more room in my car.
Yeah.
But like at the end of that one, I don't know if it's because like I had things to eat, but like at weird points in the day, so maybe I had like a blood sugar thing going on. I don't know, but was
that the one where you didn't eat your morning biscuit either?
I know. Okay,
we always go to Bojangles.
We have a tradition.
You so rarely actually eat the Bojangles. It usually just sits in the car until it's time to go home.
Because I get stressed out and I just want everything to be unloaded and done. But yeah, before we go to any festival, Tanner and I, it's always bow time. So we go and we get Bojangles, and then we drive to wherever we're going next, which for us, the next one, I think it's before Made Here Market, is Punk Rock Flea Market on 420 Blaze It.
Absolutely.
And you've been making stuff for the weed smoking crowd.
Oh my gosh. Since the moment I found out that this was taking place on April 20th, I've been working so hard. I've been making rolling trays, because I'm a former stoner. I'm not a stoner anymore.
Reformed stoner.
I'm a reformed stoner. I'm a father now.
Yeah.
But I used to be just a stoner. And I've had all kinds of fun ideas for rolling trays. I looked into making custom rolling papers at one point with like a custom pattern on it.
How much would that be?
It wasn't too much, but it started to feel like maybe this isn't an industry that I want to go into, really. Because I don't want to be the weed guy, you know? Because a lot of the events we do, not all of them, but a lot of the events we do.
There's always a couple weed guys there.
There's a couple weed guys there, but we also have a lot of families. Yeah. And, I don't want to turn anybody away, because I do have a lot of kids that come up and they really, they like my stickers because they're so colorful. And so I don't want to make things awkward for the kids, So I thought maybe, because it would cost a lot of money to get into that, and I just don't know if it's worth.
Or maybe you could be like the Spencers of Punk Rock Flea Market.
I want to be.
There's kind of like that little bit of danger there.
Yeah. I'm constantly on the highway to the danger zone.
Yeah.
That's something that I struggle with a lot, because there's this part of my personality where I love edgy jokes and dark humor, and I love shocking people and doing these weird things.
You're sick and twisted.
Yeah, and I the strange inner machinations of my mind
are an enigma.
But then there's this part of me too where, whenever sweet little old ladies come up to the booth, I don't want it to be weird. When families come up to the booth, I don't want it to be weird. And it's hard navigating that, because I don't like alienating people, especially because, it's at the Christmas event that I did, that one was hard for me, because there were a lot of people like that where they were just there to shop for Christmas gifts or Christmas decorations, and they weren't really vibing with some of the things that I had to say, and it was just
like
awkward.
What?
Because a lot of my stuff, it's very anti-Republican.
Yeah.
It's very anti-establishment. It's anti-authoritarian, anti-authority, I guess is the word.
Anti-capitalist.
Anti-capitalist. Which here in Tennessee is not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes it hard. So some events I put on a different face.
I'm surprised that you brought that stuff.
Some of it but I sold some of it. So, because there is that audience here. But at that event, I definitely did dial it down.
Because, even I have things that are selective, because I have that bumper sticker that says, I don't really get Republicans. And that only makes a special appearance at punk rock flea markets.
See, that one, the big one that I didn't show at the Christmas market was I've got a sticker and it says, guns don't kill people, Republicans do.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I think that one's going to...
Merry Christmas!
I was like, I think we're just going to leave that one home today.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember this, but the very first punk rock flea market we did, I had a bumper sticker that says, we're all impressed with your big truck.
Mm-hmm. That went over very well.
It went over very well,
places.
but within like the first 2 hours, there was a guy there that called me a fascist for having that sticker out. And it really it almost became a confrontation, and it scarred me a little bit in the sense that, like, I don't want a repeat of that.
Yeah.
I don't want to, because I want to poke fun at these things, but I don't want to start any fights with people either. So that's been something.
Sometimes you really do get these comments from people that, like, they kind of don't register at first because it's kind of unbelievable that they're saying these things to you.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to tell if people are joking or...
And for people who don't know, like, we aren't always doing, like, vending together. Like, sometimes we do split off, and Tanner will do something, and I'll do another event. Like, I did Art Prowl last year, and he did not, etc.
Which, that is just a
You've got to correct that mistake.
I know. It's just a lack of initiative on my part. That it's not like I chose not to go. I missed the deadline for applying.
Well, I do have some things with political sentiment behind them, and that's typically my buttons, because I like to sell buttons with meaning, just because buttons have a really long history of conveying important messages.
Absolutely.
In small sizes. So all of my buttons that are like political, I pick a charity for whichever event I'm doing, and then whatever I sell from that goes to that charity of the day. And that has varied from things supporting gun reform to anti-abortion ban things. So I've gotten a lot of interesting looks from people, mostly women, which aggravates me, because I'm like,
I wouldn't think that.
I'm fighting for your rights, ma'am. Well, not theirs, because they're usually always, like 60 years old and and mad. They're just upset. The last thing that happened, I was at Art Prowl this year, which Art Prowl was kind of weird this year.
Yeah, that's what I've heard a lot of people say that.
A lot of people came with a bad attitude.
Why do you think that was?
Rebecca was here, and she was like, I think that people had the idea that it's like a fine art thing.
Okay.
Which, again, what is fine art? Like, is craft a local art? Is that considered fine art? I don't know. Anyway,
I think you guys touched on this on that podcast with Dalton and Rebecca, but it's really just marketing.
Yeah.
Fine art. I mean, I make great art.
Yeah.
I make fantastic art.
It's more than fine.
I'm actually make super fine art. Yeah. I'm the only one right now making super fine art. I don't know why everyone stopped at just fine. Because that's really, if you're looking for a way to describe what you make. You're
constantly pushing yourself to be the best.
Yeah, because who stops at fine?
You are rabid for the top spot, actually.
Oh, yeah. I'm top dog.
Like, sometimes I just wish you would calm down, because...
It's just feverish.
You want all the trophies, you want all the prizes, and you tell me that every day. You text me.
Actually, I had to get a second storage unit for my trophies.
Yeah, you wake up and you tell me every day, Molly, I'm going to be better than you.
Yeah. I wake up and I wipe my eyes with one of my trophies.
And then you listen to a podcast of like some bald guy with a microphone who's like, this is how you be a top dog. This is how you make money.
I only listen to Top Dog Cast. I listen to 2 podcasts. Molly Made Friends.
Yeah.
And Top Dog. Top Dog.
And I forgot, you're not actually an alpha, you're a sigma. Because you think different. You're built different. But speaking of being built different, this lady at Art Prowl, she saw my anti-abortion ban buttons, which, for those who have not seen them, all they're like red, white, and blue, and they say, bans off my body. And this lady looks at it.
Did you come up with that?
Yeah.
I
I don't
that.
know if I heard it somewhere. I don't know. I don't remember. I probably just heard it from somewhere.
I like that.
I'm creative, but I'm not that creative. I think it was just something that was going around at the time that Roe was overturned.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good sentiment.
Yeah. And it's also like not super obvious as well. So I think that button can be carried in a lot of places and not really stir a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But this lady was there with a big old wooden spoon stirring that pot, and she looked at me and she was like, You made this? And I said, yeah. She goes, okay. And you're just selling this here? You think this is the place for that? And I said, yeah. She goes, well, know where I'm going? Out the door.
That's crazy. Can you imagine talking to someone like that ever?
No.
Because I've seen, pardon my French, I've seen a lot of stupid shit in my time. Like, there was a Trump store in the former Payless.
Which is where it belongs.
But I wasn't walking in there like, you're selling this here? Well, I'm just going to leave. And it's like, because it's obviously, it's not for me, so I'm just going to leave.
Yeah. But I mean, Tanner, your opinion is the only one that matters because you're the only person on the planet, remember?
That's, you know what? I'm going to pull up my soapbox really quick.
Do it.
One of my biggest problems with society today, everybody thinks that it comes down to what they think.
Yes.
And it's like, brother, I don't give half a shit what
you got a big storm coming.
Yeah, like, I do not care what you think is art, what's not art, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. Because if you telling me that you disagree with me is not going to change my opinion. And that's something that really makes me mad with Republicans is, so I've had a lot of, conservative people in my family,
Yeah.
And I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, you think that's stupid, that's a whole crock. I can't. But Republicans, they are those kinds of people. They'll let you know that they disagree.
Yeah.
But we're not going to change each other's minds.
No.
So
my favorite thing about being a kid, like especially a kid, like I'm thinking 12.
Okay.
And you have a progressive mindset and your family has figured that out. And then you'll just have the stray Republican uncle like come up to you and like try and like challenge you. Or he'll be like, so, you got a thing for that old Obama, do you? And you're just like, I mean, I think he's cool. And then they like try and actually fight a child.
Yeah.
That's happened to me before.
No, I've been there. Because I remember, because that was around the time of my political awakening, was probably 12, 13. That's because my dad identified as a Republican growing up. So whenever people asked, what my political stance was, it was just kind of, I'm Republican, just because that's what he was. But then the older I got, I was like, this is kind of stupid.
This doesn't make any sense at all.
Like, these people are all just really mean. Just really mean for no reason.
And for some reason, they all say that they're Christian, too.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I don't know if I even want to touch on that. But, yeah, like, I remember kind of that's when the sparring began. The political sparring. And I don't have the energy for that.
No.
I don't enjoy it. And I know debate is healthy, and I know that's how we, learn and things like that. But some people, that's not how they learn, and it's not worth the time and the effort. And that's really why I got off of like Facebook, because during the last election, I just couldn't stand it. Because you just see so many backwards people so confident that they're right. And, like, I know that I don't know what I'm talking about. I know that I'm wrong about most things, and I don't know how anybody can think otherwise about themselves. But anyway, I'm going to put my soapbox up now. That's all I had to say.
Like, there's a specific kind of person that innately feels like they can just walk up to anyone and tell them that they're right.
Yeah.
And they'll just believe them.
Yeah, and it's working under the assumption that their opinion is valued any more so than anyone else's.
It's like, do you all realize that we're all just fodder
Yeah. Yes.
For
all...
the billionaire cheeseburger machine.
We're just batteries in the Matrix, bro. That is all we are.
Oh.
But anyway.
Well, speaking of like growing and changing and shit.
Yeah.
How do you think that your creativity has changed since you became a dad? Because like I'm thinking back on like I was talking about all the 420 stuff. I think that it's whatever, like if you smoke, I don't care, but there is a certain kind of immaturity
absolutely.
To things catered to smoking the ganj.
Yeah.
But like I feel like you have probably moved past that.
I was never the type of stoner that really enjoyed those things. 'Cause I smoked.
You're not the stoner that only talks about other times that he's been high?
I didn't say that because I was that kind of stoner.
Okay.
Like, because I was the kind of guy where I would be so high and I'd be texting my friends like, bro,
I'm so high right now.
And then I would sober up and be like, what's wrong with me? Why am I telling people this? And that I think that kind of goes away with time. You know, the older you get, you kind of learn. I mean, eventually your friends stop being impressed by that sort of thing. So, but I was never the kind of guy that was into like, you know, the pot leaf stuff. I mean, it's so cringe. Anybody that makes anything that big, you know, that much of their personality is just kind of... I don't know. It's kind of like it's wine o'clock somewhere. Yeah. And it's like, do you really want to make a vice such a big part of your personality? And it's hard. It was hard for me walking away from all that because I have a very addictive personality.
Same.
And I used weed as it was kind of taking the place of medicine because I've got bipolar disorder. So it really kind of mellowed me out through the day. But, you know, medication also does that okay.
That's
you know,
cool.
Prescription medication also accomplishes the same thing and it's not quite as addictive. So, yeah, it's really becoming a dad. It's matured me more. And I feel like a completely different artist than I was prior to becoming a dad. Because prior to being a dad, I felt like I didn't really have anything to say. I didn't care enough. I mean, I've always cared about politics and, you know, things like that.
When things are affecting more than just you.
Yeah, because now it's like...
You've got something to say.
I've got something to say because I've got a stake in the future of this world. I've got... Not only do I have a son to think about, I've got to think about his kids. And their kids. And their kids. And, you know, I got to think about... What are they going to think about what I did while I was on this planet? You know, what are they going to think about the kind of person that I was? Because I think about, you know, my grandma had a huge influence on me. She was a fantastic person. And I want my kids and my grandkids to have that same kind of view as me. And I want them to think that I was a good person and I did my best and I was always doing the most that I could. And that's really come through in my art because... I created this brand Paler East back in 2016, really just as a way to make money on the side. You know, it was just stickers and t-shirts and silly little things. But within 2 months of Archie being born, it felt like I wanted to start making more of a difference. And I wanted to communicate these ideas that, you know, like so many people are very easily swayed by what's on social media.
Yes.
And the information literacy crisis is reaching an extreme
all-time
point.
highs.
And I kind of wanted to make things that were like the opposite of that. To make people be like, oh yeah, I should question my sources. I should question the context of the things that I read. I should question what I'm being told and kind of be like the voice of reason in the back of everyone's mind. So that's kind of what I've shifted into doing since becoming a dad. It's more of I'm not just doodling and trying to make money and things like that. I'm trying to do something good with, you know, with the skills that I have. And it's still evolving. I mean, you know, I'm now starting to think about, you know, we did an event a while back and there was this little kid that ran up to my booth.
Yeah.
And he was so obsessed with my stickers. He asked how much it would cost to buy one of each. And his mom came over and was like, "No, honey, I don't think these stickers are for us." Because he was looking at the little devil sticker I have. And now I have to think like, okay, what are kids going to think when they see my stickers? And that kind of goes back to the censoring thing we were talking about earlier about what kind of things we want to say. Now I'm thinking about not only what is my kid thinking, but what are other kids going to get out of my stickers? What kind of messages can I show them? And bring a positive impact to their world. Because if someone saw one of my stickers and it created like a little liberal spark, in an otherwise conservative kid, I mean that's mission accomplished.
Heck yeah!
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm just trying to be a good dad, be a good artist, and make stuff that would make my son proud.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I really don't ever see you. I remember you talking like in the past, like maybe potentially like looking at trying to be a designer in the corporate world. Yeah. I don't see you chasing after that anymore.
The only appeal to that is financially.
Yeah.
Because we know people that are graphic designers and they all make 2-3 times more than what I'm making right now. And it's hard because I work all night. I watch Archie during the day. I draw on my lunch break. I draw when Archie's napping. I have to like carve out these times during the day. And I think it would be so nice if I could have a job where it paid enough bills to where Hannah could quit her job, she could watch Archie full time, and then I would have more time to do these creative things. But it's just very mentally taxing.
Well, that's kind of your goal with starting the online store, right?
Yeah. I've got an online store now, and it's because the best income is passive income. And so I've started selling stickers and posters online, and it's done pretty great. Like, you wouldn't believe the reach that some of this stuff has, because sometimes I'm like, how did you even find me? I sold a sticker. It was to someone in New Zealand.
That's cool.
A sticker a while back, and I'm like, how did you even hear about me? And I'm just in this little house in Cookeville, Tennessee, doodling at 3 a.m, and someone in New Zealand has found me.
That's really cool.
And that's my favorite thing about the online store is I get to really put myself out there, and I get to share. It's nice having like a little hub where I can share things. I've got my portfolio on there. You can see all my old drawings and stuff like that. But it has been really great for just being like a passive source of income for me.
I remember though, I feel like you telling me it was kind of like really hard to set up.
It's a big investment of time, especially if you do anything with Meta's platforms. Because I've got a store, if you pull me up on Instagram, it's a little janky right now at the moment, so be wary if you listen to this and decide to pull it up. But you can go to my Instagram or my Facebook, and you can actually pull up my products on my page and look at them. And the hoops you have to jump through to do that, it's so crazy because they have to verify all these different things. They've got to like verify that it meets Meta's standards or whatever for it was a whole thing. And I made the mistake of making a new Facebook under the name Paler East to keep everything matching. But for tax purposes, it has to be your actual name on the account, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, and they have to verify it with your driver's license. And my account actually got banned for a while because my name is not Paler East.
Because you're a scammer.
Yeah, I was a scammer for a little bit, and they were not happy with it.
What a crook.
And Shopify took a little while to get ready. But I think it's a lot of fun though. And if you're an artist and it's something you've wanted to do, definitely look into Shopify's platform. It reminds me a lot of how you would customize a MySpace page back in the day.
That's cool.
Yeah, they've got all these little widgets and stuff. And once you play around with it, you start to notice that most illustrators are using some kind of Shopify template as their store. I've noticed a lot of the same people are essentially using the same theme, just with different colors and assets and stuff like that.
That's cool.
So it's really not that bad, and it's totally worth it.
I've also noticed that you kind of you pay very close to attention to this one creator in particular. I think it's Fuzzy Little Peach.
The Peach Fuzz Co.
The Peach Fuzz Co.
Peach Fuzz Co. Which, shout out to her. She's
a freaking legend.
She's a boss. She is my guiding light for being a business person in the artist world, because I feel like she perfectly balances being an artist, being a business person, and being a morally just and ethical business person too. Yeah. You know, a lot of her products they're eco-friendly, or they're made by, women-run businesses, LGBT-run businesses. You know, she donates to charity. She does all of these amazing things, and I just want to be like her. And
also, she does not gatekeep information.
No.
She shares everything that she learns.
Everything about her finances.
Yeah.
Everything about, she has her manufacturers listed on her website. She has the people that carry her products listed on her website. She's the opposite of a gatekeeper. She's she's got her foot in the gate for you.
Yeah, which is awesome.
It's amazing. And so, anytime I need inspiration, I pull up her account and I just look. Because I think last year she said she made $500,000.
That's awesome.
Which...
Could you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
My favorite thing about her is, for me in particular, looking at my inventory for vending, I do, 4 things. I do stickers, I do buttons, I do prints, and I do keychains, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And that is all within the limits of Sticker Mule, which is really the only thing that I've tried. And I will see other vendors, other business people like her, and she'll have these, really cool products, but I'm like, how the heck are you making that?
I think the only thing that is standing in the way for you and I is just capital.
Just doing it.
Well, it's just, I think, for me at least, it's just the capital to do so. Because, you could design a custom anything. It's just meeting the minimum order for a lot of these things. Because you got to, some of these things, she does hair claws, Peach Fuzz Co. does.
That's what I'm thinking of in particular.
Hair claws?
Yeah, because she has posted a video sharing the entire process of starting, on her iPad, just drawing it up, picking out the colors, sending it off to, whoever makes this product for her.
Yeah. What
is that called?
Like a manufacturer?
Yeah, like the manufacturer. And she just shows you every step of the process. So, I know exactly how to do it now just because she made the information available.
Yeah.
She's really cool.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I really love the concept of artists sticking together and kind of showing each other the ropes.
Yeah.
And because I really think, we've had so much success vending that I think every artist should give it a shot, because it is the most fun that I've had being an artist rather being a business person in the art world. I think that's the most fun because you're connecting with other like-minded people. You're getting live reactions and feedback.
And it's so fun to go to these events and recognize vendors.
Oh, yeah.
And befriend them and follow them on Instagram and just keep up with what everyone's doing. And it's just this nice little community. And it's also just a really nice way to make some extra cash.
Yeah.
It's just really fun.
It's so much fun.
And, I don't think that you should worry about finding an audience for what you make. There's always going to be someone out there. Sometimes it surprises me who goes home with what.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Which I think that makes it even more fun.
There was this one woman that the first punk show we did, and this was before we really knew how those were going to go. Because I remember that first day we didn't know how much we were going to love.
We were just there smiling
and trying to get through that, because we had a line of people going out the tent the first time we ever did that. And there was this one woman from Cookeville, and she bought one of everything that I had. And she was probably mid-50s, something like that. And dressed pretty conservatively and everything like that.
Yeah.
But she was like a former punk. that, related to all of these things. And it's so fun getting to see that, and she was from Cookeville too. So we got to talk about, Tennessee Tech and stuff like that.
I had this, one lady, she looked like she had just walked out of, Altered State.
I know what you're going to say.
Oh, no, I'm talking about another lady.
Oh,
okay,
really?
I'll tell both stories. I had this one lady who looked like she just came out of church. She smelled, super perfumey and had all of her, cross necklaces on and a bunch of jewelry and her nails done. And it looks like her name was, Ashlyn, spelled ASHELEIGHNE.
Tragedy.
Whoa. So she comes in and she just starts looking at my music posters and she falls in love with them. And she bought
Which one did she get?
She bought 5 of them.
Whoa.
Yeah. She just liked them that much. I'm like, well, thank you.
That's amazing.
And her white jeans and her little jean jacket and
well, good for her.
Yeah, she was cool.
Good for her.
But the lady that Tanner is thinking of,
because I misunderstood at first.
The lady that Tanner's thinking of, she is my favorite person that I've interacted with ever at any of these punk rock flea markets. She's a legend. She's a walking legend.
I hope she comes back.
I hope that she's alive.
She may not be.
She may not be.
She could have died that night. She could have died while we were there.
That's the state that she was in. So I think it was probably 9:00 at night.
Yeah, it was towards the end.
It was 30 minutes.
I think she
before
was
we
your
needed
last
to pack
customer
up.
for the
day.
And
I had these bumper stickers, and one of them says "The moon made me do it," and it had the moon and stars on it. And because bumper stickers are really expensive to produce. I mean, they use a lot of vinyl, so I price them each at $7 because they're large stickers.
Yeah.
And they're all waterproof and they're quality, but that doesn't always go over very well with people. And it's dark. People have started to pack up, and this punk show's going on in the distance, and here comes this little goblin lady. And I'd say she's probably 75 years old, but she's still living that biker chick lifestyle.
Still partying like a rock star.
Yeah, partying hard. And I think that she was on one that night, honestly.
She, you know what? She was probably 3 times my age, but was partying harder than I ever had in my life.
Yes. And I'd say that she probably weighed 85 pounds. And all of her weight was in her hair. She was just all hair. And she comes up to me with her, classic, smoker's voice. She's like, "The moon made me do it, baby. I like that one. That's my favorite." And I'm like, hell yeah. That's a good one. She's like, "How much for the bumper stickers?" And I said, $7. She goes, $7? God damn. I'll give you 3 for it. And I said, sure. Yeah, let's do 3. And so she gets in her little claw hand, she gets her crumpled up dollar bills and she straightens them out and she hands them to me. And she goes, "Thank you, baby. I'm excited for this sticker." And then she palms one of them. So she only gave me $2. And then she walks off. And I'm like, wow, I've been swindled by the spirit of punk rock flea market.
Which is pretty much an open call to everyone. If you can make an entertaining enough story, you can steal from Molly and get away with it.
Please.
You can pretty much do whatever you want as long as you give her a good enough story to tell. That was an amazing end to that night, because that was really... I don't know if we'll ever meet someone like that again.
I hope we do.
I hope so. I hope she comes back. If you're
listening,
was
awesome.
Little punk rock flea market troll.
Little tiny woman.
Little tiny woman.
Little tiny biker woman.
We miss you, tiny biker woman.
Who's her, I don't know, the weight of her body was probably just the cigarette tar in her lungs. Yeah. That was what was keeping her on the ground.
Weighing her down.
Otherwise, she'd flow away because of her hair. Should just blow away.
Do you name these episodes of your podcast?
Yes.
This should be Ode to Biker Lady.
Ode to Biker Lady, okay.
What were you going to say?
The only one, as of this recording, I only have one episode done and edited. And the first one, I think it was called, I Don't Make Art to Be Depressed.
That's right. Yeah, that was really funny. I really enjoyed that. I'm excited to listen to the one that Vix was on.
Yes, I am too. Vix is very cool.
I work with Vix's husband.
Oh,
Chris.
yeah. You have that connection.
Yeah, Chris and I go way back. He and I were friends in 5th grade.
Well, speaking of people that we know, Dalton Vaughn, former guest of the show and friend of the show, asks, what inspired you to make pop culture related artwork? Is it mainly nostalgia or is it personal?
Great question, Dalton. Thank you for writing in.
Yeah, thanks.
So it's definitely nostalgia has always been a big part of my life. I've always been a very nostalgic person. A lot of my recent work is actually nostalgia for things that I don't personally have nostalgia for, if that makes sense. Like a lot of my interests now, like I watch a lot of, animated shows from the 60s and 70s and things like that. I didn't start watching those until my 20s.
Yeah.
But
you and my friend Cole.
Oh, Cole likes like stuff like that. I just love that time period. I love it so much. But I've always been super nostalgic for like the 90s and 2000s and stuff like that. So that's always been really important to me. But a few years ago, my mom died, and it was kind of hard to be as nostalgic as I used to be because it became less fun nostalgia and more sad nostalgia. Whenever I think about stuff from the 90s, I think about those kinds of memories, and it's a little bit more tender than it used to be. So I think I just kind of naturally started to see what else was out. Because I used to hate older things.
Oh.
Like, if it was in black and white or something, nope, I'm good. I don't want to see it. Yeah, that's boring.
That's so sad.
That's boring. That's old-timey. And then, it was like 2020, 2021, I started to really get into, like, Star Trek. Oh, I love Star Trek. Started getting into, like, Super Friends and, those kind of, like, old cartoons. And it's just so interesting to see, because that was still kind of a new medium to me, or not to me, but I'm losing my train of thought here. That was still kind of a new medium at the time, like the animation and like the Saturday morning cartoons were still kind of new, and I love learning about how they pioneered that from like an animation standpoint, and an illustration standpoint and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of both. There's some personal history in there, but I really just love kind of seeing what's worked in the past and how they came up with those things, what made it work, what inspired them, and just kind of, I like following the trail of inspiration just to see, where my favorite artists got their inspiration and where they got their inspiration from, and so on and so forth.
I don't know if you have noticed this as well. There is a very common thing right now where people have noticed that like kids, like teenagers, teenagers are the ones who are really invested in watching shows like Friends or Cheers. Yeah, just old TV shows. Oh, so
the same thing is happening to like newer generations.
And whenever you ask them about it, they kind of talk about it like, we know that this never really existed. This kind of idyllic time where everything worked out. Yeah. Everyone was respectful to one another. It just feels like a more lighthearted, easygoing time.
Like a sensationalized version of...
Yeah. And it's just so much more calm in comparison to what's going on today, that I think a lot of kids prefer those shows just to kind of, ignore. stuff.
And you know what? That is a big part of it for me too. And I wonder if maybe every generation feels like that, because you look back at almost like, oh, those were simpler times, but no matter when you say that about it wasn't a simpler time, because you think about, oh, the 50s were such a simple time. If you were like a white guy, if you were a white guy, it was pretty simple.
Yeah.
And it's like there have always been such conflict in any era that you look at. But yeah, you look back on older media as if it was such a simpler time. But really it's like you're just looking at the fluff pieces from those times, and because those were the distractions from back in the day. And that's what I get out of Star Trek, because Star Trek it's like a completely idyllic society through the lens of retro 1960s mid-century kind of aesthetics. And then later on in the 90s, the same thing with that. It becomes more of a 90s aesthetic and stuff like that. So yeah, I wonder if maybe just every generation seeks that kind of old world's comfort, the sensational, simpler times kind of vibe.
I've actually talked about Star Trek with Cole, and more specifically Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yeah.
That's the only one that I've seen, but I've seen it all the way through That's 3 or 4 times. Yeah. And I love watching Next Generation because it is humanity at its best.
Yeah. And there's still struggle, there's still conflict, and I think that's just always going to be present, within us. But it really, it's just, if we all tried our best, that's where we would end up as Star Trek The Next Generation. And
there are still, very human characters in Star Trek, and they have problems. They have, bouts of selfishness or fear or jealousy or envy, whatever. But instead of giving into that, the people around them reach out to them and help. Yeah,
they have support. They have resources, and
it's just a very supportive place.
It's super,
it's nice.
Yeah, it's super supportive. And my favorite thing about it is it's just the most realistic kind of portrayal of luxury communism that you could possibly show. Because that really, if we could replicate food, then we could just throw money, get rid of the whole concept of money, and you just do what you're best at. You do what calls to you. You be a doctor because you want to help people. You become, an artist because you want to express yourself or help other people express things. You do what you want because it's what you were made to do. You're not doing it because you'll die otherwise.
I wonder if that's the reason why, well, aside from the fact that dictators were behind the quote-unquote communism that we've seen so far in history, I wonder if communism could work if there was that great equalizer like that. There was no more food shortage, and also there was no real concept of money.
Yeah.
Everything was either just traded, or if you wanted it, you have it.
Yeah.
But then it's I'm sure that not everyone wants to be a dressmaker. Not everyone wants to be a roofer, whatever.
But some people...
would class still exist?
It's a good question, and there really isn't a great answer, I don't think, until we can actually implement something like that. But what I like to think is, those jobs would still be needed, and I think there still would be people. Because if you think about it, I think church is actually a pretty good example of the kind of community that would be needed in a place like this. And I'm not religious in the slightest. I'm agnostic. I'm not going to say full-blown atheist, just because I think, having the hubris to say you have it figured out is nobody knows.
That's really insane.
Nobody knows.
No.
But I have always admired the sense of community that a church has. And someone needs something done in a church, you get together and you figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't think there would be roofers in this society. I think that, if your roof needed to be fixed, you and your neighbors or you and your family would get together and you'd fix your roof.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't need people that have to go out there and specialize. Everybody could learn these trades, just in their own life. Because I think it would be great if we had a society where everybody had a part in, building their house. If everybody knew how to work on their house, if everybody knew how to do all of these things, with their hands that are kind of escaping us, because they don't really need to be specific jobs, but rather skills that just some people in the community need to have, But what was your question?
I don't know.
Sorry.
I don't know anymore. I think my question was, can communism work? I think that was my question.
The answer is yes.
Next, we're moving on to Israel-Palestine.
Oh gosh.
No.
Yeah. I think with communism, a lot of it is it's never been successfully implemented.
No,
because
and it's never been earnestly implemented.
No, not at all. And because of that, it's gotten this awful reputation. People don't understand it. They don't understand what it means. They don't understand why it would work. And it boils down to there can't be any kind of system of exploitation or power over another person. And I think as a species, we have yet to implement a society where there isn't someone that has power over someone else.
Yeah.
And I think that's the root of the problem.
But
it's inherently,
can we establish these systems when there will always be people that exist that crave power?
I think it's going to take a pretty big system shock culturally in order for us to get to a place like that. Because if the nuclear bombs went off today, we'd be a communist society by the time the sun went down. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, I think that's probably what it would take, is some kind of disaster. And I hate to think like that.
No, you're right.
But we live in a world where we can end hunger. I mean,
and every day we choose not to.
We choose not to, and it's not.
And by
it's
we,
not us.
we
it's
mean
not you
like
and me.
the 19 white dudes.
Yeah, because
have all
Jeff
the world's
Bezos,
money.
he could wake up tomorrow and be like, "Let's end hunger," and don't act like he couldn't, because he totally could. He could at least move us.
Experts have told us that he could.
Anybody with that kind of money should be doing more, and they don't. They hoard it all, and it's such a shame because at a certain point, there has to be a threshold for where how much money you have doesn't matter, where you can just do whatever you want. And I think that's the problem. These guys are hoarding wealth, and personally for them, it's not making a difference, but it's affecting everyone around them because, there's such a disparity, especially, in this country between, the 1% and everyone else, and they don't want to let go because why would they,
Yeah.
But if we could take those resources back and use them for something, I don't know, anything else, anything productive, we could move towards a world like that. But at this stage in the game, I don't know how you do that if it's not by force.
I don't think that we will ever escape the yoke of capitalism, because capitalism provides the thing that kind of dulls any desire for people to change, which is convenience.
Yeah.
Like, we live in a time where I can get on my phone right now and we can have a pizza here in 10 minutes. And
that's tough because, I could quit everything I'm doing and join a commune, but that'd be really not that easy. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
You can't just walk away from these things, especially if that's how you're raised, if you're ingrained in this kind of society. Because I don't know how to grow food.
I mean, living in a capitalist society, you can't just leave.
Yeah.
If you choose to leave, then you're no longer a part of it. So basically, you almost cease to exist because you cannot participate in it.
Yeah.
If you don't have any money, then you're not a person.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at how we treat our unhoused.
Yeah.
So.
Which, that's the saddest thing for me, is like I see all of these things that we're doing. Like humanity came up with AI generated porn before we solved the housing crisis. Like that shows you where our priorities are at. We are so focused.
We need that quick fix.
We need the quick fix. We need, the feel goods. We need the new thing that, is what everyone's talking about. And it just makes me sad that we're not doing more.
Speaking of AI, I think that you were more accepting of it than me.
You think so?
I think so, because I remember talking to you about it in the past, and like you use it way more than I do.
Yeah. But see, to me, it depends on how you use it. I think it should be a tool. I don't think it should be a creative entity.
No.
You know what I mean?
You don't use it to create things for you.
No,
you use it to help you.
Because, like, for example, if I'm coming up with a sticker, I'll pull up ChatGPT and be like, I'm trying to make a sticker that represents this kind of idea, and I'm trying to find out a way to, express my ideas. Mm-hmm. What are some words that I could use, like, instead of this word? And it'll give me a list of words that are close, but it's something I could have sat down and thought about myself, but it's quicker to use ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. But it's not coming up with the concept. It's not coming, it's not executing the idea.
Yeah.
It's really just helping me organize my thoughts.
It's giving you some tips.
Yeah. And it's kind of like using, a thesaurus or using Google, mm-hmm. It's just a tool that, helps me execute the things that I want to do. I do have a problem with people that use it as a form of like generating art. Because it is theft. Because a lot of these models are based on, they're pulling existing images, whether those people gave permission or not.
Yep.
And I like that for the novelty of it. I like that we were able to figure out how to do that. But it does scare me now that the general public has access to it. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Because I know that I'm going to use it responsibly, but there are a lot of people out there. If you've followed this Willy Wonka debacle, have you seen this? Willy's Chocolate Factory?
In Glasgow?
That is the epitome of what is wrong with the AI issue right now.
Can you tell everyone what that is for people who don't know?
Was it Glasgow where this took place? So there was advertised a Willy's Chocolate Factory experience. Not Willy Wonka, mind you. Willy's Chocolate experience.
Just a Willy.
Just a Willy. Just a Willy. And if you see the guy that they cast as Willy, it's clear that he has nothing to do with any previous representation of Willy Wonka that you've seen in printed media or otherwise.
It is knockoff with a capital K-O.
Yeah, it's like a knockoff of a Kmart Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Anyway, not to disparage that guy. I'm sure he was trying really hard. But
by charging everyone $40 a ticket.
Yeah, it was like $40 a ticket for this Willy Wonka experience in a warehouse. All of the advertisements, text included, were generated with AI. Which, when you see it advertising things like flab drab or whatever made up words on the poster, you can tell that it's AI. But yeah, it was essentially a guy that he thought he could use AI to come up with a great idea and execute it. Yeah. And that was his fatal flaw. That was his fatal mistake. The marketing and the planning for that event, I think, was entirely generated with AI technology. Yeah. And people got there and it looked like you would expect of an AI running an event.
It looked like that old meme, and this is going to let everyone know that I am a horrible, horrible internet dweller. Do you remember the last BronyCon?
The last BronyCon? I don't think so.
I don't remember when the last one was, but it was horrible. Like, it was just like one of the worst conventions that has ever happened ever. And there's this picture of this empty warehouse, and there's a little baby ball pit in it, and that was the whole thing.
Oh, is that what that's from? I've seen that online.
It gives the same vibe as that. I want to know who your favorite Willy character is. My favorite, I'm torn between the meth lab Oompa Loompa lady and the Unknown. Have you seen the Unknown?
What's the Unknown?
So
that sounds scary.
He made up like a bunch of extra characters that are not in any of the books or the movies. Yeah, smart. And kids love that. Kids love when that happens. And they especially love it when they're led down this hallway where there's just this giant mirror where a guy says, "Behold the unknown." And this woman...
And then you die.
This woman is dressed in this black robe.
Oh my God.
And she's wearing like an iron mask with a big black scary wig. And she comes out and she goes, "Whoa." And then all the kids start screaming and crying.
Of course, because what do you expect would happen? The unknown. That's who thinks that had to have been generated with AI. Though.
Oh, Willie.
Oh, Willie. That's the Willie experience.
Dear AI, please give me super fun, very cool characters. Thank you.
Yeah, I just can't believe that something like that even happened.
No. And it also makes you wonder, all of these parents saw these ads. And they couldn't
obviously AI
and they couldn't
ads.
see through it.
And that's, going back to what we were talking about earlier about informational literacy.
Yes.
Like, I pull up one of these ads, I can tell within 0.2 seconds.
Because they're always so smooth.
They're very smooth, way too flowy and organic. And I mean, if you can't tell by the text where it's just making up words, I mean, you couldn't even go and like Photoshop that out and put real words into it. Like, I can't believe that it got this far.
So one reason I really like graphic design is I can talk to my client and then I can retreat into my little hole and I can go to my computer and just sit there and work on it. And I am very relieved and privileged to say that I have never had to work retail before.
You've never worked retail before?
Never.
Wow.
My first job was at Roane State Community College Library, and I was the library gal. I did a little bit of everything from, like, cleaning bathrooms to, like... One summer, I threw away basically everything in the bottom floor of the library. I threw away thousands of books and magazines and newspapers.
Were they just old or
They were old and no one had really checked them out. And because it was purchased by state money, they couldn't just give them to anyone, so they had to throw them all away.
That's not right.
I know.
What's the point of that? The state should address things like that.
They brought me an industrial-sized dumpster.
Oh my gosh,
and
that's so
threw
sad.
Away so much stuff.
Did you keep anything?
I did. I did sneak a couple kids' books for people that I know.
Yeah, that's just such a waste.
It was a kind of a bummer. And then they turned the downstairs into like more of like a computer lab centric thing. It was weird working there. One time this guy brought like a rifle bag in. Yikes. And rested it on the counter while I was talking to him. He also told me that apparently Starbucks only hires gay people, so you shouldn't go there.
Well, everybody knows that.
Yeah, everyone knows that. So I got to talk to a lot of really crazy people because libraries just kind of like draw all kinds of people in from the community. Yeah. There was one lady who would, she was from Florida and she was missing like a chunk of flesh from her legs. And she was like manic all the time. I don't know. And she asked.
I don't know why I assume a shark, but.
It's Florida.
You said it was like a bite taken out, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
It was just like a huge chunk of like muscle. It was weird. Yikes. And she would always tell me that she was writing a book about manners because children don't have manners anymore.
That's what'll help, a book about manners.
And then one time we were leaving the library, we had just closed, and I saw her down the street by the school, and some people in the county, they were working on like correcting like some sewage or something, like sewage lines by the road we were on. Yeah. So they had all these industrial pipes out. And she had just pulled over and she just started helping herself to the pipes there. Pipes? Yeah, she just took some pipes.
Wow.
And then another time, she also drove a Chevy Tracker, which just makes everything inherently funnier. One time, I got behind her, and she had 7 mattresses on top of her car.
Is she just driving around picking up leftover the goods from other people's?
She lived in a fifth wheel.
What's a fifth wheel?
I think it's kind of like those RVs that you attach to a truck. Like, you can't drive them. Okay. It's just something that you... Gotcha. She didn't have running water.
Did she find that on the side of the road as well?
Probably. She didn't have running water, so she couldn't take a bath. And I really felt bad for her because the police were constantly, like, trying to tell her, hey, you can't live here. This is a condemned property. And I think that she was just very mentally ill and couldn't, like, register that she needed to be somewhere else. She also had, like, 7 dogs.
And they lived in the thing with her?
So she just smelled like wet dog all the time.
Oh, man, that's an uphill battle.
But I'm sure that you have plenty of those kinds of stories working. You worked at Bath and Body Works, right? And then you also worked for a hotel.
Bath and Body Works was the first like job I ever had. I worked for my parents in high school, and then right after I graduated, they had a business where they sold vape juice.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, so they made vape juice and they sold it locally, and so I was kind of like a production assistant with that for a while. But Bath and Body Works was my first job because I love Bath and Body Works.
Me too.
Used to. Now I'm a little bit like, do I want to spend $26 on a candle? No, I don't. No. But that's a whole other thing. That was my first job, and then I worked at the Clarion here in Cookeville, affectionately dubbed the Scary-On by the locals.
Oh no!
Rightfully so.
I didn't know that.
And that I had a very interesting experience working there. I had a history with the place before I worked there. Mm-hmm. It was a Holiday Inn back in the day that was turned into a Holidome, which I've told you about before. And if you're not familiar with the term Holidome, Holiday Inn wanted to make these kind of all-in-one, inclusive, like vacation atrium style things back in the 60s and 70s, where it was kind of like vacation insurance. Like, if you went to the beach and it rained or something, don't worry, you're at the Holidome. They've got a pool. They've got pool tables. There's a restaurant. There's a bar. It was kind of meant to be like a backup in case your plans fell through. And here in Cookeville, it was really nice to have, because that's where we would have like my birthday parties. Yeah. Growing up, we would have, poolside birthday parties. And I've always loved hotels, but especially that one. I thought it was the coolest place that I'd ever seen. Had this massive atrium that you could walk through with, there was, plants everywhere. It felt kind of like this very different thing from most hotels.
Where is it in town?
It's right next to the Dunkin' Donuts. It's been demolished.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They demolished it, and it's a new hotel. It's like Homes 2 Suites or something like that. Because the atrium, the amount of maintenance it needed was insane. Mm-hmm. Since the pool was in the lobby, it caused a lot of like rust and stuff on the internal like metal fixtures.
Probably a lot of mold
like
too.
Tons of mold because the rooms opened up to the atrium, so the kind of pool air, as it were, would get sucked into the AC units in these rooms, and they would fill the rooms with this moist air, and it smelled like chlorine and had mold at the same time. So it was just a very hard thing to battle with. But I really wanted to work there because I just loved the place. One of the worst ideas I ever had. The place was insane. It was 147 rooms. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah. 147 rooms, which meant that we could have, if we sold out, that was 150, plus people. And between 4 p.m. and 7 a.m., there was only one employee on site.
What?
Yeah. And
that you?
When I started, I worked from 3 until 11. So, 90% of that shift, I was by myself. I had to answer phones. I had to plunge toilets. Yeah. I had to check people in. I had to, if housekeeping messed up, I had to clean rooms. I had to bring people sheets. It was It was honestly incredibly demanding, but it also gave me an awesome work ethic because nothing scares me anymore. Oh my God, nothing. Like being the parent of a newborn is nothing. I repeat, nothing compared to working a sold-out night at the Clarion in Cookeville, Tennessee. Oh my gosh, it was a nightmare. I would have like 4 people on hold waiting to make reservations while I had a line of people waiting to check in. You know, this guy in room 112 has been waiting an hour for his toilet to be plunged. You know, the pool lights haven't been turned on because I haven't been able to walk away from the desk. I haven't peed or eaten in hours. I'm dead inside. It was a really hard job, and yeah, I saw a lot working there. There were murders. There were suicides.
Yeah.
There was one guy that was poisoned by his fiance.
Can you please tell that story?
Yeah,
because that's kind of like a ghost story
it's
too.
It's a ghost story because I don't know if I've ever told you the follow up to that.
No.
Because it does become a ghost story.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So this guy, keep in mind a little backstory here. This is maybe 7 days after my promotion to front desk manager. So I now have responsibility over
Congratulations,
this place.
son.
And I'm at a friend's house, and I get a call, and they're like, "Can you come in? Somebody's dead."
Oh.
And I'm like, "Okay, is this like an employee or like a guest? Is this who's dead? Why? You know what happened?" And this guy had checked in. He was a really heavy guy. He was out of breath when he checked in. He was red in the face. He seemed like very, very ill. And he was very ill when he checked in. And the next day, his fiance, or I guess his wife actually, called the desk. And she goes, "I think my husband is dead. Can you come down and check?"
I think.
Yeah. And the woman working the desk at the time was like, "Well, if you think he's dead, I'm going to call 911.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come down and inspect the body." And she was like, "Well, I don't know. You know, he may not be, and I don't want to overreact if he's not dead." And she was like, "All right, I'm going to call 911. And so she calls 911. And not only was the guy dead, he had been dead for some time.
Oh, no.
And we had the ability to do an audit on the lock on the door. And we could see when the door was open, when it was closed, and
because it had key cards.
Yeah, it has like all digital key cards. So we could actually run an audit and get a report for when the door was open and for how long the door was open.
Wow.
At different points during the day. And come to find out that during the time that he had died, she had left the room and come back like 4 or 5 times. Yeah, very suspicious.
Doing normal things.
Yeah, like she'd gone to the vending machine. She'd gone to her car a couple times. She'd come up to the desk once to get something. Just going about her daily routine. And the guy was dead on the floor. It wasn't like it looked like he was sleeping in bed. He was like face down on the floor. And
wow.
Yeah. And then things started not to add up with her story. She was she told the police that she had been out all day, which was a lie. So she ended up getting detained, and we didn't get an update for a while. But then the police requested the security camera footage. They requested the reports that we ran on the door, and of course we saved all of that because we knew that something was going to come of that. And she's actually in prison now. She was convicted. I think she put Visine in his food or in his drink or something.
Like for a long time.
Yeah, and like had slowly poisoned him. And he was a heavy guy, so I think maybe she was trying to make it look like more of a cardiac issue. Because when he checked in, like I said, he was red in the face and he was sweating, but he was really not in good health in other ways. So I don't think we really thought like someone's poisoned that guy.
That poor man.
Yeah, poor guy. And he was he owned a business, so we think that she was probably trying to get some kind of
life insurance.
Yeah. But the room that he died in, And it's kind of, I don't want to go into like, the gory details or anything, but somebody died in the room. We had to clean it up, and, we had to, we didn't rent the room for a while we spruced the place up. We took the carpets out, we painted, we got rid of pretty much anything in there that we could get rid of. Not that we needed to, but just as almost like a courtesy. It felt very weird to still have those things in there. So it was out of order for a long time. And as the toll of front desk manager began to weigh on me, I switched to third shift for a while and was working night on it. And that room began dialing 911 in the middle of the night.
Oh.
Yeah. We had on our phone system, it would tell us if anyone in the hotel dialed 911, just so we could kind of know if there was an emergency. We had an early, idea.
That's nice.
And it would be this notification on the phone. And for like a month, at like right after midnight, that phone would dial 911.
Wow.
Yeah. And the kicker is that line would continue to dial 911 after the phone had been unplugged in the room. It wasn't even the phone that was dialing it. It was like the line itself was reaching out to like 911.
Wow.
Yeah, because the room didn't have any furniture in it for a while. It was just empty. And
except for him.
And I never went in that room after he died.
Wow.
It just had awful
that
vibes.
Poor man.
Yeah, really poor guy. Just a sad situation. And that kind of really sums up my experience working there. It was always something like that. There was always some dramatic, terrible thing happening, and one after another. And it was amazing when I quit, but I do miss the place. As awful as it sounds.
I'd say that, there's probably definitely always something going on.
There was something going on, and it always had my attention captured, so it was a real moment in time where, like, my life was this weird hotel, this haunted, vintage. They hadn't updated the place in years, so it felt like it was from the 70s. It was just a very strange, it was almost like a David Lynch type, world that I was living in this hotel for a minute.
Whenever you were at the hotel, was there a lot of, like, sexual proclivities going down?
100,000% yes.
Oh, no.
Between guests, between employees.
Oh
my gosh, man. Like, it was such a weird thing. I remember one of the wildest nights I had on the job. I was working third shift, and I'm not going to name names, but this was a girl that I'd gone to high school with.
Yeah.
She had checked in with some friends after 3 a.m. and they were trashed. So I assume they had just gotten out of a closing bar, and they were checking in. And then the girl that I knew came up to the desk after breakfast, and she said, "Can you unlock the pool for me? I think I left my bra down there last night." And I was like, "Okay, we can check." And we go down there, and lo and behold, her bra is in the pool area. And as the front desk manager at the time, I was like, somebody slipped by me. I was like, I'm getting rusty. And I was like, I can't believe, like, somebody went swimming and I didn't notice. And so I looked at the security cameras because I'm like, how did they slip past me? Because the lobby was connected to the atrium where the pool was. So you would hear splashing and stuff like that. So I'm like, how the hell did I not notice? So I checked the security cameras. Not only did I miss them swimming in the pool, she and her two friends had a threesome by the slide.
Because that's where you want to do it.
Yeah, like on like the weird, like kind of like I don't even know how to describe the texture, but it's what you think a pool area would be, that kind of like cement texture. And yeah, they're having a threesome down at the pool. And my mouth is just agape because I'm like, I am the least vigilant person in the history of humankind. Like, people are just having threesomes in my lobby. I felt ashamed of myself.
I'm picturing you, like, holding your little hat in your hand and walking into your boss's office like, "Sir, I failed you.
Sir,
I allowed a menage a trois to happen on my watch.
I have to put in my resignation effective immediately. I failed you, sir."
Oh, my God.
And they went at it for like 45 minutes to an hour. And... what the worst part about all this is not only was I in the same room as them? I walked past them at one point, delivering receipts in the middle of the night.
Did you see yourself?
Yes. And
No!
I'm in the same shot. You can see me like kind of slinking by looking at receipts. And then these three girls are just going to town not 15 feet away from me.
Okay.
And I don't know how you have like a silent threesome, but they were quiet as a mouse. There was that. The employee Christmas parties were messy. I mean, messy. There was this one time I left the Christmas party because one of the housekeepers came up to me. A housekeeper whose eyebrows were tattooed on, by the way. I just want to add that on there. And I don't mean like a little bit tattooed on. I mean, she looked like Doodle Bob. Like she had these big,
like one was way higher than the other one.
They were like, it wasn't so much like they were pretty well spaced, but the sizing was dramatic.
And I bet they were
least.
Like
jet black, thick as hell. I mean, thicker than my finger. Yeah, that's what this chick looked like. And again, not to be mean to her, but she came up to me while I was enjoying the karaoke, and she whispered in my ear. She goes, "How about you show me what that mouth can do?" And I go, "Okay." I was like, "I'll be right back," and I left. And I got in my car and I went home because I was like, I do not want to be here right now. And it was always something like that. Like employees were always hooking up and fighting. People were going to jail. People were getting out of jail. I learned so much about the Cookeville Police Department and their corruption. If y'all are listening, I know all your secrets, by the way.
Were they all having affairs?
Oh, so much more than you would think. I'm not going to get into details because I don't want to get disappeared. But yeah, I've seen things that would make some interesting stories for a podcast if I didn't fear for my life afterwards.
Do you think that Cookeville has sex workers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's another sad thing about working in hotels. You do get exposed to that kind of thing, and it's not. I mean, like I support the idea of sex workers, but the reality for a lot of sex workers, it's not a very glamorous job.
No, it's no one's first choice.
Not a lot of people are doing sex work because it's something they want to be doing.
Yeah.
So, I think that should be something that you should be allowed to do, but it's a very sad reality for a lot of people. And, we had a lot of the housekeepers would turn to things like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they would have access to the rooms, and they wouldn't always turn in their key cards. Yeah, and so we dealt with that, and yeah, I really saw a lot of, and, I'll be honest, that also kind of radicalized me, I think, working in that hotel, is because you see a lot of the people that society has forgotten about. A lot of people would come in from the mission, that had been turned away, and they needed somewhere warm to stay during the night. And I really struggled with, the hotel policy is, if someone comes in and they're not a guest, you turn them away. But if someone's freezing, how do you tell them they can't go somewhere? If someone hasn't had anything to drink all day, how do you tell them they can't have a cup of coffee? And I'll be honest, I said fuck that to the hotel policy, and I let people sleep in the atrium. I gave away amenities for free. I gave away bottles of water. I gave away snacks, and
good for you.
It made me feel good. I mean, because I wasn't doing anything lasting, so I'm not gonna pat myself on the back too much, but it felt good being able to see something like that and do something about it. But it was also sad because then I had to deal with the repercussions of it, because I would give amenities out to people, but then word got around that you could go to Clarion and,
there's this nice ginger fella.
Yeah. And there was a time where there was a woman, she was pregnant, and she had come in, and I'd given her a couple bottles of water and some snacks and I think I gave her like some toothpaste and toothbrush and, just basic stuff. But then she hit me up on Facebook. She found out who I was and hit me up on Facebook and was trying to get money for like an abortion. and
wow.
things like that. Yeah, and
that's heavy.
It got to be really heavy work in there because it was all, and I mean every week there was something like that I was dealing with. There was some kind of really hard situation where I had to decide if I was going to do the right thing or if I was going to do the corporate thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to be where I just couldn't do it anymore, and I left, and I haven't looked back.
So, okay, this is interesting because you have the perspective of working in the hotel.
Yeah.
And seeing the poorest of the poor.
Yeah.
And then you worked at Bath and Body.
Yeah.
Where you are seeing just extravagant capitalism, like at its finest.
That was my problem with Bath and Body Works.
Just
that
people hoarding candles.
Capitalism supreme. I think that is the least necessary product that you can buy is what they have to offer at a markup that
exorbitant
is nowhere
amount of
near
money.
fair.
No.
Because I guarantee that their production costs have gone down while their prices have gone up.
Yeah, probably.
And it's like that everywhere. But for Bath and Body Works, it's really the one thing I will say about Bath and Body Works is they pay their employees very well.
Okay.
I think in 2016 I was making $13 an hour there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so for 7-8 years ago, I don't know what they're paying
That's
now,
great.
but back then it felt incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But the catch is you only really get hours between like October and January, and then they have 3 people working the rest of the year. But they have things down to such a science there. They monitor the number of people that come into the store with a sensor, and they monitor the amount of people that leave with a different sensor. And you have to make so much money. Like there's a ratio for how many people are coming in and how much people are leaving versus how much money is being made. And you had to get that ratio right, or you would literally get a call from corporate in the middle of the day. That's like, hey,
God. What's
up with your numbers? You guys have a lot of people coming in, but a lot of people leaving, and they're not spending any money. What's going on?
That would suck.
It was such a nightmare for management. Like me, I don't care. I don't care in the slightest. I was there and I clocked in and I did my job until it was time to clock out.
Mm-hmm.
But the beauty of it is if we weren't doing very well, they would send people home, which sucked for your paycheck. But you know how awesome it is when you think you have like an 8, 9, 10 hour shift ahead of you and you leave 2 hours into it and you just have the rest of the day. It's like a snow day, But it was the most like micromanaged corporate capitalist workplace that I've ever seen in my life.
What was the grossest or like just the worst like customer experience you had?
Do you already know this story?
I don't know.
Okay, because you're setting me up for the perfect story. This is
Please tell
this is
me.
my shocking Bath and Body Works
I
story.
love hearing about people's jobs.
I have so many horror stories, and I love talking about it because this one specifically was. It was a doozy. So I'd been working there for maybe 2 months, and I only had like 30 minutes left on my shift. And I'm walking around, and this group had come in, and they were. I want to be careful how I phrase this because I don't want to be offensive, but it was a group of elderly people, and they had like some kind of intellectual disability. I think a lot of them did some kind of like special needs, and they came in with, I think it was their caretakers. And they all came in kind of like as a group, and one of the people there had an accident on the floor, and they pooped on the floor.
Yeah.
And the lawful good in me is like, something must be done about this situation. Someone must clean this mess up.
Yes.
And then the chaotic neutral in me is like, I do not get paid enough to clean up shit.
Yeah.
I do not. But I was like, I don't want someone stepping in this. I don't want someone slipping in this. So I took it upon myself, and I cleaned it up, and I didn't say anything because I didn't want to make a big deal out of anything. But the manager saw me do this, and she gave me 2 free candles as a thank you. And ever since then, I like that. It sounds so stupid, but that kind of reinstilled like a feeling of I need to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like the universe does look out for you when you go out of your way to do the right thing. And so I've tried to keep that work ethic with me. I think that's the biggest thing I gained from all of these horrifying jobs is I still always gave my best, and I think I was ultimately in the end I was rewarded for that.
I think so too.
Because nobody wants to do these things.
No.
But yeah, it had to be done. And now I'm a dad, and that's what I do all day long is just cleaning up these messes.
Yeah.
And now I think nothing of that. But
that's awesome. The world needs more Tanners in it.
I don't know about that. But I'm just glad to be here, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Well, I'm happy that you came on my show.
Thank you for having me. It's been so much
Thank
fun.
you for being my friend.
We recorded longer than I thought we would.
Yeah, I think we're at probably like the hour and 40-minute
That's
mark.
That's crazy to me.
Before I edit and trim. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows how long?
You know what? Leave that in so we can compare how much that you edit. So
okay.
how long is it? Does it say? An hour?
No,
40?
like...
I don't know what this... There's like an arbitrary timer on the screen.
It's so weird.
But it doesn't seem to correlate to any kind of like measurement of time.
Yeah, I record this on GarageBand, and it measures time in beats and bars at a tempo of 120.
Somebody do the math.
So, yeah, somebody out there.
But yeah, and I thank anybody who's still listening at this point. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. That means the world to me.
We love you.
Yeah, we love you, and I appreciate you. And
real recognize real.
Yeah, hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add before we?
No, I think we covered it.
Cool.
Thank you so much for sharing all of these cool stories.
Thank you for having me. Do you care if I plug myself really
No,
quick?
please. Tell the people what you got going on.
So Molly and I will be at the Punk Rock Flea Market in Murfreesboro on 420.
Blaze it.
And we'll be at the Made Here Market the following Saturday on the 27th. Don't know what we've got going after that.
And Made Here Market is in Cookeville.
Cookeville, Tennessee. If you need the times or the dates, you can go to my website, which is www.palereast.com, or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook by just looking up Paler East, and you should be able to find me.
Woohoo!
Woo! Well, we did it.
We did it. That checkered flag's waving.
What does that mean?
Like in NASCAR.
Oh, is that what that means?
Yeah, waving the checkered flag.
We wove the... What's the past tense of wave? Waved? Wove? We wove the checkered flag?
We gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta go. I'm burning out. I'm crashing here. I'm losing my ability to talk. So.
Well, thanks again, guys, and peace out.
See ya.
Peace.